In an alternate 1980s, World War III has already commenced, and Russia, back then known as the Soviet Union, is winning and expanding their armies. They have taken over major parts of Europe and are now heading west towards North America. The opening scene starts in the American city of Calumet, where a boy named Jed drives his younger brother Matt and his friend to the local high school. Later, as the history teacher is conducting the class, he notices several troops landing by parachute outside the school. The soldiers have also brought heavy weaponry with them, and they appear to be speaking in a foreign language. Confused, the history teacher ventures outside to interrogate the soldiers, but he is immediately shot and killed. Soon, the soldiers begin firing at the school, causing havoc throughout the area. They pelt the place with bullets and even missiles, killing several students inside. Meanwhile, as Matt and his friends, Robert, Danny, Daryl, Aardvark, search for a way to escape, Jed arrives with his car. The boys immediately get in, and together they flee from the place. By this time, the entire city of Calumet has come under attack. The enemy soldiers are killing innocent people for apparently no reason, and numerous buildings are laid to waste with heavy artillery. Amidst the destruction, Jed and the group somehow manage to reach Robert's father's sporting goods store. There, the old man suggests they immediately leave the place and head to the mountains, as the condition is very severe right now. The boys are hesitant to leave their families, but they have no choice but to agree. They soon grab weapons, ammunition, and other necessities for survival. After stocking up, they get inside the car and head to the mountains. On their way, they come across a roadblock manned by Soviet troops, who open fire on them. Fortunately, a helicopter from the US Army shoots the troops, allowing the group to make their way out. In the next scene, we get to know that the Soviet troops, along with Cubans and Nicaraguans, are attempting to take over Calumet City, and then the entire nation. In short, World War III has taken place. Meanwhile, a Cuban colonel named Bella orders his men to go to a local sporting goods store and obtain records of the store's gun sales. On the other hand, the boys reach the mountains and start living there. Since Jed and Matt are regular campers in the area, they have no problems adjusting. With days passing by, the group survives by fishing, hunting, and even eating the vegetation there. After a few weeks, Jed, Matt, and Robert sneak back into the city, which is now under the total control of the enemy soldiers. They enter a grocery store and inquire about their families, to which the shopkeeper responds that everyone considered a threat has been imprisoned in a re-education camp. The shopkeeper also warns the boys to stay away, as the soldiers had been looking for them. Later, the boys reach the camp, which is a large area confined by a cage. After a bit of inquiring, Jed and Matt finally meet their father, who appears to be badly beaten. They also learn that their mother was killed by the soldiers. Expectantly, the boys become emotional, but the father reminds them of how he raised them in a tough manner and encourages them to avenge their mother's death. Meanwhile, Robert is unable to find his father in the camp. Following this, they go to their neighbor, Mr. Mason's house, who is very glad to see them again. The old man reveals that Robert's father was executed because his store was missing a few weapons. Actually, the weapons are the same ones that Jed and his boys took to the mountains. This breaks Robert's heart, and he blames himself for his father's death, but the guys quickly calm him down. Later, Mr. Mason takes the boys to the basement and reveals his granddaughters, Tony and Erica, who appear to be hiding from the troops. He then requests the boys escort the girls to a safe location, to which they agree. After a while, Jed and his group mount on their horses and make their way to the mountains. One day, Daryl notices 3 Soviet soldiers approaching the mountains, so he immediately alerts the rest of the group. Upon reaching the place, the soldiers start taking photographs while standing on the edge of a cliff. While they're at it, they notice some arrows on the ground and begin searching the area. Soon after, they discover Jed and his group hiding behind the rocks. The soldiers proceed to apprehend the kids, but little did they know that the kids were armed and dangerous. In no time, they managed to execute the 3 soldiers. Following the incident, Colonel Bella confronts Daryl's father, the mayor of Calumet, and inquires about his son. Daryl's father attempts to save his son by claiming that he is not violent and cannot harm others. He also tries to appease Colonel Bella in order to save the innocent citizens, but it all goes in vain. The next day, Colonel Bella gathers some civilians from the re-education camp, including Jed and Matt's father, and executes all of them to exact vengeance. When the youth group learns of the death of their family members, they are devastated. However, Jed tells them to not give up and encourages them to fight for their nation. The next day, the youth group comes up with a plan, and Erica goes to a gas station where some Soviet soldiers are filling up their tanks. She approaches the soldiers and casually leaves a bag containing explosives. The soldiers simply flirt with the girl and send her away, but shortly after, an explosion occurs, killing a few men. Enraged, the remaining soldiers pursue Erica, and as they are about to reach her, the youth group emerges from the ground and shoots the soldiers to death. This gives the group renewed motivation, and from that day onwards, they start executing the enemy forces with available arms and ammunition. They also give themselves the alias Wolverines. The movie then fast forwards by a month, where the enemy troops are still in control of the city. One day, Tony discovers Andrew Tanner, a lieutenant colonel of the United States Air Force, dozing off near the camp. When she realizes that Andrew belongs on their side, she brings him to the camp and provides him with some food. Andrew then updates them on the status of the war. He claims that the nuclear strikes have destroyed several American cities, including Omaha, Washington, and Kansas. He goes on to say that the enemies, mostly Cubans, came up from Mexico illegally and infiltrated the SAC bases, wreaking havoc. The Soviet armies have captured most of Southern America and northwest Canada, but American armies have been able to stop them at Rocky Mountains and the Mississippi River, and the lines are now mostly stabilized. According to Andrew, the Russians are there to capture American armies intact, which is why they will no longer use nukes. Americans will also not use nuclear weapons on their own soil. Furthermore, he shares that his family was caught behind the lines down in Texas. He likes to believe that his family is still alive, but he has also heard about what the Soviets are doing to civilians. The next day, Andrew joins the Wolverines in one of their conquests. He assists them with his military techniques, and soon the group takes down a large number of Soviet soldiers. In this way, the group starts taking out more and more enemy soldiers. They have also amassed a large arsenal of weapons. In the next scene, Andrew explains his plan to take over a Soviet base camp. The group is amazed by how detailed and smart Andrew's elaborations are. Later, the Wolverines carry out the plan and attack the Soviet base camp from all sides, eventually leading them to victory. However, their actions attract the attention of a Soviet general who orders retaliation against the innocent civilians. Now that the Soviet high command is aware of the Wolverines, the Soviet general orders the soldiers to eliminate the Wolverines as soon as possible. Elsewhere, the Wolverines are enjoying a rugby match. After their victory, while Tony is chatting with Andrew, she inquires about his wife, mentioning that she is curious about his love life. Tony enjoys Andrew's company and seems to be attracted towards him. The next day, the Wolverines reach a high point in the mountain, where they witness the Soviet aircrafts in a state of war against the Americans. While watching the chaos unfold from a distance, two Soviet tanks approach from behind. As a result, the Wolverines quickly take their cover behind a rock and begin shooting at them. When the enemies begin to take the upper hand, Andrew and Aardvark board a tank for counterattack, but they are fatally shot, leaving the rest of the group devastated. Tony appears to be even more heartbroken because she adored Andrew. Before any further casualties take place, Jed fires a bazooka at the enemies and kills them once and for all. Following the incident, the Wolverines bury Andrew and Aardvark's bodies and pray for their souls' peace. One day, the Soviets deploy a Spetsnaz unit into the mountains, and they use portable tracking devices to locate the Wolverines. Despite this, the Wolverines, who were well prepared for their arrival, attack and defeat them easily. They then capture the Spetsnaz's leader, along with all of their weapons. Later, the group interrogates the Spetsnaz's leader about their plans, but the latter refuses to reveal anything. He continues speaking in Russian, yet manages to say, "Go to hell, Yankees," in perfect English. This enrages the group, and they execute him without any hesitation. Damn, they must be Mets fans. Following this, the group examines the dead bodies of the enemy forces and finds the portable tracking device. They discover that the tracking device is pointing at Daryl, indicating that he is the source of it. Jed confronts Daryl, who then admits that the Soviets apprehended him after his father turned him in. He goes on to say that the Soviets forced him to swallow a tracking chip before releasing him to join the Wolverines. Daryl begs for his life, but Robert, who learns that the others don't have guts to kill their own friend, shoots him for his betrayal. Later, the Wolverines reach a new location, from which they can keep an eye on a group of Soviet trucks transporting food. Matt is about to fire a rocket launcher launcher at the soldiers. But just then, the soldiers unknowingly drop some food boxes. The Wolverines, who are starving at this point, decide to abort their mission so that they can retrieve the food and eat it voraciously. They appear to be happy to eat normal food after such a long time. However, their happiness is short-lived. As the Soviet helicopters swiftly approach them, the Wolverines catch wind of the impending danger, but it is too late. In no time, they are pelted with heavy fire, causing Tony to be shot. Although severely outnumbered, the group still manages to fight back. Soon after, Jed carries Tony on the horse, and all of them begin to escape. In the process, Robert manages to take down one of the helicopters, but he is soon executed by another one. Meanwhile, Jed realizes that Tony won't survive for long, so he places her behind a rock. The two then talk about the state of their friendship and how war can ravage an entire nation. After a while, Tony expresses her desire to go out on her own rather than being killed by the Soviets. She requests Jed for a grenade, and after a lot of convincing, he agrees. He hands her a live grenade and leaves the place. Following this, the rest of the Wolverines escape the place. After some time, the Soviet soldiers and their general exit the helicopter and begin searching for the dead bodies of the Wolverines. Soon after, one of the soldiers discovers Tony's body and confirms her death. In this process, the grenade falls from Tony's grasp, causing an explosion that takes the soldier's life. Later that night, the Wolverines devise a plan in which Jed and Matt decide to attack the Soviet headquarters in Calumet. Their goal is to distract the soldiers so that Danny and Erica can escape the city and live a life without fear. Erica tries to convince Jed that she too wants to join in the attack, but Jed tells her that someone has to survive. Wasting no time, the two brothers head towards the headquarters and begin firing at the soldiers. They are able to kill several soldiers, but after a while, Matt gets shot in the chest by a Soviet army commander. Jed takes down the commander, but he also gets injured in the process. Later, while a distraught Jed is carrying his brother away, they are spotted by Colonel Bella. However, when he senses their loss, he allows them to leave. That makes no sense. The two brothers then sit in a park and reminisce about their childhood days. Slowly, both of them pass away, holding each other. On the other hand, Danny and Erica trek through the Rocky Mountains until they reach America's safe haven. In the last scene, we see a partisan rock and American flag nearby, indicating the victory of America. In the partisan rock, it is mentioned, in the early days of World War III, guerrillas, mostly children, placed the names of their lost upon this rock. They fought here alone and gave up their lives so that this nation shall not perish from the earth. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.